Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are watching the House of War, and this is episode number 24. We're every day with this. Today is Sunday. Happy Sunday. God bless you all. I hope God has his hand on every single one of you, and he does. And I hope you get to open up your hearts and see that he's with you every step of this journey we go through in life. Um, I was at church today, got a great word today, and I'm happy, I'm blessed. And what we talked about in church was going through sorrow, and going through sorrow, you always end up with joy in the end. So it's another sign and symbol that God always wins. But we're gonna go into what you see now. Black Americans have always had the right to vote. And this is a huge myth about the history of America, is that Black Americans had to achieve their right to vote. But before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this. We go into the truth, we go into the hidden history of the world, right? Because there's a lot of stories that we aren't told, but I'm here to break them down to you. I'm here to show you how America is actually great, and how we can return to that. And we're gonna start off very early in the country, very very early, and before the United States of America even began. So they say that we didn't get the right to vote, Black Americans specifically, Black descendants of slaves. They say we didn't get the right to vote until 1965. They say we were excluded from government, blocked from the ballot, and politically powerless. But that's a lie. Black Americans have always had the right to vote in this country. And it's not because of protest, right? Not because of a handout, and not because of a law passed in the 20th century. We were voting in the 1700s. Yes, Black Americans, before the United States of America was even established, descendants of slaves, uh, people of African descent were voting in the 1700s. We were being elected in the 1700s. Isn't that some breaking news for you? Black people, people of African descent, were being elected in the 1700s. And we were leading in local, state, and even national office long before the civil rights movement ever existed. And this episode is about truth. It's about showing that the barriers didn't stop the Black Americans. When we were present, when we were men, when we were rooted in God, we led. Let's open the archives and remember who we are, because a lot of people don't understand and know the history of the Black Americans. But let's talk about the Black voting in the 1700s. Before the United States of America was officially a nation, Black Americans were voting in the colonies. Voting rights in the colonial era were based on citizenship, property ownership, and residency, not race. I'll give you an example. In the Massachusetts Bay Colony in Pennsylvania, in both colonies, there's historical records that show that Black Americans who met the land and tax requirements were legally voting alongside their peers. Tax rolls and voter registration logs from the mid 1700s document Black surnames listed as voters in town meetings and council elections. Black people were already active before the United States of America was even a thing. Before the United States of America existed, people of African descent were holding political offices. Isn't that something? I'm gonna tell you about Wentworth Cheswell in New Hampshire. He was an elected town constable in 1768. Mind you, I'm gonna remind you that the United States of America was formed in 1776. This is 8 years prior. Wentworth Cheswell went on to serve as an auditor, assessor, justice of peace, and a town selectman over a 49-year civic career. This is a black man that had a 49-year civic run. He participated in the Revolutionary War and returned and continued serving the people. Wentworth Cheswell, look him up. Matthias de Sousa, Maryland, 1641, was an elected official to Maryland's General Assembly, one of the earliest recorded black Americans to hold elected legislative power in colonial America. These men weren't protesters. They weren't participants. They were voted in. This is 1641 in Maryland, a black man that was voted in. They were respected and they were present. So where did this idea come from that black people didn't hold political offices, they didn't have the right to vote? When in the 1600s, there was black people holding political offices, voted in, elected officials. I'm not making this up. Matthias de Sousa of Maryland, 1641, and Wentworth Cheswell in 1768. Let's keep going. Part 2. Black civic power in the early republic. Let's talk about it. After the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1787, it did not define voter qualifications. That power was left to the states. Many states continued their colonial policies, where property-owning citizens of African descent could vote if they met the same criteria as anyone else. I'm from Ohio, so let's talk about Ohio. John Mercer Langston, Ohio, 1855, elected as town clerk of Brownhelm Township, becoming one of the first black men elected to the office under the U.S. Constitution. Later became Virginia's first black congressman. Look him up. John Mercer Langston, 1855. Let's continue with another guy, Paul Cuff, another black man, the 1780s. He was a landowner, a shipbuilder, and a merchant who paid taxes and voted in Massachusetts elections. His petitions for voting fairness were based on biblical, not civil rights protests. We weren't outsiders to the process. We helped build it. Black Americans were part of the civic system before white immigrants ever stepped onto the United States soil. I'm going to help you recognize that black Americans were, prior to, the civil rights movement, 1964, they picked up this act like black Americans didn't have the right to vote. And I'm proving now that no, not only did we have the right to vote, we were actually holding political offices. We were elected officials in the 1600s. Let's continue. Let's deal with another lie, that people who once had been enslaved never had access to vote or hold office. What are we talking about? Joseph Rainey of South Carolina was born into slavery. He purchased his freedom. And in 1870, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. The first black American to do so. Was born a slave. He served 4 terms and chaired multiple committees. Let's continue. Robert Smalls of South Carolina. He escaped slavery during the Civil War by commanding a Confederate ship. After the war, he was elected to the South Carolina legislature, then to 5 terms in the United States House. He helped write South Carolina state constitution and advocated for public education. Robert Smalls, South Carolina. Let's continue. Pinckney Pinchback of Louisiana, born to an enslaved mother. After the war, he was an elected lieutenant governor of Louisiana. Became an acting governor in 1872. The first black governor of any U.S. state was in 1872. Then we go to Reconstruction and the height of black political power. Between 1865 and 1900, over 2,000 black men were elected to local, state, and federal offices across the United States. Let's talk about Hiram Rebels. Mississippi, 1870, the first black man to serve in the U.S. Senate. He took the seat formerly held by Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. Let's go on to Blanche K. Bruce of Mississippi, the first black man to serve a full term in the U.S. Senate. This is the 1870s, people. We had state level leaders like Jonathan Jasper Wright, the first black man elected to the state Supreme Court. Alonzo Rancer of South Carolina, the first black lieutenant governor of the U.S. Congress. John R. Lynch of Mississippi, the Speaker of the Mississippi House and U.S. Congressman. These men weren't symbols. They were mayors, they were judges, legislators, sheriffs, treasurers, and school board leaders. So why was the law necessary? Why do they pretend that black Americans never had this power? Because if black men knew they had the right to vote, it's kind of funny. If we always knew we held office, we wouldn't beg for it. We take responsibility for losing it. But guess what? The black man, we gave it up. We let the culture shift. We stopped showing up. We stopped holding each other accountable. And we let them teach our children that we were locked up or locked out. But the record is clear. We were never locked out. We just walked away. Did y'all know that Frederick Douglass, everyone knows about Frederick Douglass. Everyone knows about Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was born a slave. Frederick Douglass was born a slave. He was an active voter. Frederick Douglass voted. He was born into slavery. So this lie that black Americans didn't have the right to vote is all cap. Black Americans always had the right to vote. Always. Since the 1600s, we were holding elected official offices. What do you? So it's a myth. We were always voters, we were always eligible, and we were always capable. It didn't take the 15th Amendment, it didn't take a protest, and it didn't take begging. It took being present, it took being prepared, and it took being men. We got to show up and lead. Black Americans have always had the right to vote. Let's talk about the lie. Let me tell you about the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Martin Luther King, when they was fighting for a right to vote. They wasn't fighting for a right to vote. They was fighting for the right to lower the standards of being a voter. This is what happened. They took away the literacy test. You see, when you had to vote, you had to be qualified to vote in the 60s. You couldn't just vote. You had to have things. You had to have qualifications. And one of those qualifications was, could you pass a literacy test in the 1960s? But guess what? People pretend like black people was just monkeys and couldn't read. Oh, they got barriers and racial barriers. Black people can't. They put barriers up for us not to vote, bruh. Black people could read and couldn't read in the 1960s. The 1960s. You mean to tell me black Americans was holding political offices in the 1600s? And then the 1960s come around, they was fighting to get rid of the literacy test so they could be able to vote? That's a racial barrier? That's not a racial barrier. Passing a literacy test is not a racial barrier. But that's what the Civil Rights Act did. It got rid of the literacy test and got rid of, you had to pay a fee to vote back then in the 1960s. So that was two things. That was the only thing that changed. So when y'all thought y'all got the right to vote in 1964, you didn't get the right to vote. You always had the right to vote. The only thing they changed was they got rid of the literacy test to let dumbasses be able to vote, and they got rid of the tax. It got rid of the fee. You had to pay a fee to vote. That's what happened. They got rid of the payment because black people was apparently too broke to pay to vote. And they was too stupid to read and pass a literacy test. Those were the racial barriers that they tell you about. This is what Martin Luther King was marching in the streets about. He was marching in the streets about getting rid of literacy tests and paying to vote. This is what happened. It's mind-boggling to think that people thought Black Americans was too stupid to pass a literacy test, but they made this up. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement fooled y'all to have you guys thinking that we were too stupid and too broke to vote. No, Black Americans always had the right to vote. Always had the right to vote. Always. Since the 1600s, we held political offices. So when someone tells you that Black people didn't have the right to vote, they're lying. They're lying. They are lying. I'm gonna go into some of these comments because it's sick how we got to this point where these public schools are teaching our kids this stuff. Like, this is new to us. It's sick. In New York too, on Long Island, there were Black and Native landowners and council members for their towns. Yes, it was. Yep, Southern Democrats wasn't having none of that. Ohio is still north, talking about the southern states. Here go 85. There were also Black slave owners in the antebellum South. Yes, it was. In the South, before the Civil Rights Movement, before the Civil War, there were Black plantation and slave owners who had active contracts with British Empire, Confederate government for clothing for Southern troops. Wow. It was all based off land ownership. Yes, if you wanted to vote, you had to own land. But guess what? Black people didn't own land. I proved that yesterday. Black people owned millions of acres of land. So we black Americans have always had the right to vote. That's not new. Black Americans been that. They always was eligible, always active in political offices, always had the right to vote. Black Americans did not recently get the right to vote. Black American men and women were voting in the 1700s. Before I believe the late 1700s, when in New Jersey, they conducted this rule that held it to only white men, but Black American men and women were voting. Okay, let's go. Slavery was nasty business, but it's over with. I'm happy to work with all people with good character. If you're a thug, gangster, you need to go away. I feel you on that, Ziggy. Jesse Lee Peterson and others covered this topic on Dr. Phil, Black Prosper and Thrived and Lyndon Baines Johnson, War on Poverty. Lyndon Baines Johnson, War on Poverty, it crushed a lot of people's spirits. But the black man, I'm gonna hold the black man responsible because he didn't counter. He didn't bounce back. He never swung back. He fell, he tucked. They need to up the standards for everybody. And I'm a big advocate for that. They need to re-up the standards because now we got fools voting. Like these college kids, the university children, these kids in these college universities, let's be honest, man, he's kind of stupid. Not all of them, but they're indoctrinated with foolishness because these the same people that think this. They think that black people just recently got their right to vote. People with master degrees do not know the history or understand the history of black Americans. It's mind-boggling. It really is. Watching from Bangladesh. What's up, Bangladesh? Is it slavery that made Americans obsessed with race? Because in my country, it's not a subject at all. You never hear someone have this discussion. Did slavery make us obsessed with race? No way. Because even after slavery, we weren't obsessed with race. Race wasn't a conversation until the civil rights movement started sticking it in our noses. That's what happened. That's when race became a popular thing. The entertainment industry made it popular. Well, it sparked it, it opened the door. And then the civil rights movement stuffed it in your face like that Ruby Bridges was special because she was the first black girl to go into she was the first black girl forced into an all-white school by the hands of the government. That's not a plus. That was a bad stain in our history because you were forcing kids places and then telling people, to the black people, that the white people ice was colder. No, we should never think like that, like ever. Americans are Americans. You are not your skin color. You don't have a skin color. Your skin color changes everywhere you go. So to label somebody a race because of what they look like is foolishness, because your heart is deceitful already, and you're not supposed to get your answers from what you see with your eyes. Thomas Sowell covered this in numerous books until 1967. Blacks who were college educated were actually more literate and out earning and less divorce rates and single mothers than all others. And that very well can be true, right? But what has the college universities done as of late? It's actually in reverse. These college kids, it's especially because the women are leading our family, the black women are leading black families spiritually nowadays. It's a total reverse. People with college degrees don't have success, aren't more capable of having successful marriages. That's just not a thing, because people are more focused on themselves, and we became a consumer-based society that which we get our value from our possessions, and that's what leads to you give the spirit of a person that will not put your marriage first, but put your possessions first. And now we don't live like that anymore. God bless America. Yes, sir. Pretending like exceptions make the rule doesn't make sense. Take that as a percentage of people, and it's extremely small. My grandfather voted Republican until his last breath. You are right, my friend. Appreciate you, O'Shea. Amen, brother. Thanks, Dwight. Amen. Average Trump worshiper argument, trying to limit who can vote, is a common fascist viewpoint. No, it's not. It's called standards. It's called standards. People have lowered the standards. This is why people are lost and living chaos, because there is no standard. There isn't a standard anymore. It just isn't. Like, the standards have been lowered. This is what the problem with the Department of Education is. If the standards was lowered so low, now the kids don't even write in cursive. Bro, I was writing cursive in the 2nd grade. And this is the early 2000s. I love everyone. I mean that. But I don't like the idiots that keep us all down. If you're living life without committing felonies, I'm 100% supportive. I somewhat agree with you on that. Yes, idiots vote, and it sucks. But when you get to choose who can or can't vote based on who you think is an idiot, it can lead to silencing other people. I'm with you on that, right? But we need to have a standard. We can't let just anybody vote. And if that was the case, and let's say I agree with you on that, right? If we let everybody vote, right, then why do you have to be 18 to vote? Why do you have to be a certain age to vote? Right? Why do you have to be 18 years old to vote? Because it makes sense. You don't want a 12-year-old voting. You don't want a 10-year-old voting. What if the 5-year-olds got the right to vote? Where would that take us? You know how many kids it is? We do need a standard of voting. We need to raise the age, because 18-year-olds are goofy nowadays. Yes, we do. We need to raise the standard. Look where it's gotten us. Donald Trump is the president right now. Remember who Donald Trump was prior to 2016. He was a TV guy. He was a TV star. Now, politicians don't have the best history. So we had to lean to other people because they have a history of doing nonsense, right? So yeah, if you talking about letting everybody in, letting everybody get a say so, I don't agree with that. I think we need to raise the standard. I really think the literacy test is important. You need to bring something like that back if we want to have some kind of standard, or just to raise the standard a bit, because right now the standard is too low. Are you really that uninformed? Man, yes I am. I'm learning. You hear me? Not sure if that's true. College graduates earn quite a bit higher on average. Again, exceptions to the rule. Earn what? The dollar amounts? Yeah. If dollar amounts is equating to a better lifestyle, in your opinion, I don't think so. I don't agree with that. I'm just passing through. What's up, Tim? Most women shouldn't vote. I agree. Go Trump. Trump better lock in. Lowering standards of voting is literally the point. The point of a democracy is to represent the people, not the rich or people you like. Are you advocating to lower the standards? These are some bad arguments. Explain. Damn, homie, did you graduate high school? Yeah, of course I did. Uh, President Donald Trump, not a felon. Stupid judge sentenced him to unconditional discharge, which covers the 34 counts. The age of voting is when you can consent legally. It should be tied to the age of consent, whatever you think that is. Then that's the age, in my opinion. Yes, criminal 47, criminal. Yes, 18-year-olds are 13, 14-year-olds mentally. I swear to you, they are. These dudes are silly. Jack, the founding fathers insisted all non-prohibited men own arms and vote. Key words, they are non-prohibited. The standard should be American with ID only on voting day. Make it a holiday if need be. Open every school to reduce lines. I like that. How convenient that I bet you are included in the standard. Of course. I feel like I feel like I'm a very responsible individual. I have a very I'm well versed on what people need to do. You feel me? Because I was a person that had a lifestyle that was uh anti-Christian, and I seen where it led me. And then I picked up a very Christian lifestyle, and I see what it's done for me and my family. I have a very great testimony, and I can advocate on what a good person or a good person mindset needs to be at in order for them to make the best decisions for themselves. I honestly believe I have that. How convenient that I've been just lower the rent and mortgages. Let's see, how old are you? I'm 31 years old. Sweden have 33% in tax, and my son is a cancer survivor. And in his 2-year treatment, didn't cost anything. Our government paid us 80% of our salary to take care of your child. That's what's up. Plus a 3rd grade education. Man, I swear, I sound like it, don't I? You're doing great work for my kingdom. Oh, Satan? Oh, no, I ain't working for y'all at all, my guy. Harry, yo, what's so criminal that he's done? You're supporting MS-13 cartel? Oh, y'all in there arguing? Okay. You don't care about blacks either. Who don't care about blacks? IDA, we should strive for things like that, but our country is much larger, so it's harder to manage. Closer to Sweden would be nice, but we can't be all the way there. Yeah, we can't. We have a lot of work to do, and I think what we need to actually do, because this is the thing. I'm on here talking about when Black Americans had the right to vote, because I believe it's 124 people in here, right? I believe 90% of y'all really really think that Black Americans didn't have the right to vote until the 60s. It's been, if you're American, it's been pushed in our head that blacks didn't have the qualifications or to vote this entire time, and it's literally a lie. Your grandparents were voting, your great grandparents were voting, and your great great grandparents were voting. They were, if they went to the ballot and did. But then you have these lies saying like, oh, the KKK they was stopping us from voting. They was pulling up and they was stopping us from voting. No, this is cap. These are lies. And if you stop voting based on fear, I mean, you just a sucker. Because if I see something and I recognize that there's an issue, I'm gonna step in and play my part if I believe that there's something on the ballot that could really impact our lives. When was women's suffrage? Answer the question. Women's suffrage, what's that? Early 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, or late 1800s? Somewhere around there. I know the 19th Amendment came, what, 1917 or something like that? But I'm a big advocate of repealing the 19th Amendment. I don't think women should vote. Like they need to pause it real quick. The women shouldn't vote right now. That's in my opinion. Praise Jesus. This is the day the Lord has made. Black, white, yellow, purple, love for all. Good luck and good health to you, even if you're polka dotted and striped. 100%. I agree with that. Everybody, praise Jesus. Who is your history teacher? Because I believe he or she is misleading you in a lot of facts. 100%. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I was not the best person in history. I didn't study history when I was in high school. I passed the test and I moved on. Was not paying attention to it. I was a ghetto bird when I was in high school. I wasn't paying attention in school. I graduated with like a 3.3. I wasn't a person that was looking to get great grades or anything. I was just there to pass and get up out of there. But if you talking about history, if I'm so bad at history, you feel me? Call me out on what I'm saying wrong. Don't just be here just jaw jacking. Agree, but our rich give it to the land when they die. IKEA founder gave everything to us. If Elon gave you some, you would have it better. No, nobody will have anything better than anybody because of possessions. Possessions do not make your life better. God makes your life better. You need to follow the Lord. That's what makes your life better. If you want to talk about having it better, but when it's something on a ballot like abortions should have never been legal in America. And I feel like if Black Americans, if they was, you know, if they peeped or understood that this was going on, like they was opening the gates for abortions, then oh no, we would have hopped. I think the Black Americans would have hopped on that and would have said, no, 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 heck no. Your mom sat at you for that statement. What, that we need to repeal the 19th Amendment? No, she isn't. I know my mother isn't. Gerald, what up, boy? You hear me? Uncle Ruckus. Yeah, I'm a proud Uncle Ruckus. I love being called Uncle Ruckus. Cause you know what you can't call Uncle Ruckus? A liar. You don't get to legislation, faith. Look, my purpose is this. My purpose is to show you that the Black Americans always had the right to vote, and what the civil rights movement did was lower the standards to voting. That's what happened, unfortunately. And now we're at a point where we have goofy people voting. Kamala Harris should have never gotten that many votes. As bad as Donald Trump is, let's give Donald Trump a D as far as a candidate, a qualified candidate. Kamala Harris gets lower than, she get an F minus, and she was securing millions of votes. Are y'all serious? This is what this is the American minds. This is what it's become. And I feel as if if you bring those literacy tests back and you make people pay to vote, it'll be a lot more cleaner. We will get a lot better qualified candidates. All right. Let's go. 99% of Americans support you. And I support 100% of Americans. I appreciate that. Is Jesus pro-life? Come on, man. What kind of question is that? Is Jesus pro-life? Why wouldn't Jesus be why wouldn't Jesus be pro-life? Gerald. I don't know enough to say anything about the Black community, but having a degree in econ really helped me see how bad Trump's policies are with the economy. Explain. Because America was kind of sweet in 2016 through 2020, 2017 through 2020. Yeah, America was sweet as far as economy wise. I bought my first house during that, and I bought it for a great deal. I got a nice house for the low ball, and my house worth $200,000 right now, and I bought it for 85. So nah, I'm not gonna say the economy was bad, and I think Trump can get back to that. And then niggas, it's only May. Chill. I work with young disabilities and have the right to own apartments. They have the right to job, and we even made a DGeting app for them so they can meet people like them. That's what's up. Focus too much on race. Live your life, my man. Yeah, I don't focus on race at all. But what I am talking about is this the descendants of slaves right now, and I'm speaking to people about how the descendants of slave has always had the right to vote, and Frederick Douglass is a great example of that. Everyone knows who Frederick Douglass is, but Frederick Douglass, he's the abolitionist, right? And he was voting. He was an active voter. This is not news. You can look this up. But some way, somehow, Americans believe that descendants of slaves or Black Americans didn't get this right to vote until the 1960s. There was people marching in the streets begging to vote, like it wasn't there, like it didn't exist. Like it's crazy. It seems like the Democrats are going to spend the next 4 years pointing out that Republicans elected our nation's first president who was out on bail and was found guilty of felonies in a criminal trial. That's what's up. You think they'll run with Hillary? Hillary who? Hillary Clinton? I don't know. I just turned your chat up. I appreciate you, Gerald. I feel like abortion should be legal if the mother's life is at risk or any other conditions like that. Yeah, but that's the thing though. When is a mother's life ever like? Do y'all ever have y'all ever heard someone? First of all, how common is it for a woman to die in labor? That's not common. I don't know anybody that's died in labor. I know people that get sick and get sick real bad and go through some real traumatic labor experiences. But people dying in labor, that's not common. So to even bring up abortions in that instance is like that's like less than 1%, like 0.5% chance of her dying anyway, because it doesn't even happen. When was America great? What year was that? Come on, man, you gotta look at the House of War episodes, man. I already talked about when America was great. Uh, check on my YouTube, check on the House of War YouTube channel. Amen, my friend. Uh 60 just got a new subscriber by bring Jesus into your talks. Keeping it real. Jesus is the only one that's gonna save us. 100%. 100%. I used to be a Pan-African revolutionary, self-hating black man until I found the Lord and I found out that my Lord and Savior name is Jesus Christ. And it made me love myself and love everything about me, and it made me love my country. And that's why I wear this hat, because I want to make America great again. This hat is not about Donald Trump. This hat is about making America great again. And about making America great again, we got to make America holy again. This is what I'm all about. Is there a more suit appropriate MAGA hat? Derby, perhaps? Hard men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. I 100% agree with you, Jack. I don't understand people that say when America has been great. We are absolutely the freest country in the world. How is that not great? Dude, these people are privileged. Like, people have gotten to a point where they're so privileged that, like, they're like I said this last night, there's running water in the kitchen. Like, do you know how people live outside of this country? You know how hard it is? Like, you're living in paradise with your feet up. Your feet is up, guys, and you're complaining. Like, we on YouTube right now. Like, this is sweet. You on YouTube chilling. You got it made. Crying about your circumstances. It's sickening. But to say that black people could vote before the Civil Rights Act is quite dishonest. What? Even though some people could vote, laws were disproportionately made to stop black people from voting. No, it wasn't. You see how you have no information. All you said was laws were disproportionately made to stop black people from voting. What laws? What laws? You just saying laws. Who told you this? You're following lies. This whole segment, this whole ordeal, me sitting on live is me showing y'all and proving y'all that it never existed. Black people not only had the right to vote, we held political offices. We were elected officials in the 1600s. Look it up. Matthias de Sousa, 1641. Don't do that. You can come in here talking like that, Pancakes, and I'm gonna crush you every time. You think I'm on here saying this for no reason? The internet it's available. People shouldn't be this ignorant anymore. We have access to learn this information. My 2-year-old just came out as trans. Should I put him on puberty blockers? No, you shouldn't put him on anything. You need to tell your 2-year-old to ignore what you said about that and stop acknowledging that conversation with a 2-year-old. You better stop watching Redneck TV. What's Redneck TV? Sub, love the message, spread facts, and eliminate delusions. Thank you, Mike Hawks. I appreciate you, brother. Because most of us aren't liked, you know what I'm saying? People that keep it real are the most hated people. And I appreciate that I'm getting some kind of love, because I'm look, most people hated Jesus, right? Most people hated Jesus. Like, especially like when he came to the town, they said, Hosanna, 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 come save us. Right? People were so excited. They thought Jesus was about to come be the king. He said, no. I'm not about to be the king of, I'm not about to be your president. Nah, I came here to save who saved you for real. And people were upset and mad and said, crucify him. I'm already ready for, look, come on, man. I've been hated on since I was a youngin', because I'm a truth teller. Trump for the people and the people for Trump. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Trump that guy. Didn't he turn a woman into salt because she turned around? Who was that? I don't know about that. 85 for a house in 2017. Not too smart. Nah, that wasn't bad at all. It's a nice house. Free blacks did business with each other, founding fathers. I will bet you don't have a 401k. That was Obama's economy. Of course, people gonna say that. Your viewer to like count isn't as it should be. Hit that like, y'all. Yeah, hit the like button. Appreciate y'all, man. It's a lot of people in here. Can I, for my Christians, for my American patriots, all you other, I could care less. But if you want to show me some love, if you love your country, if you want to see America be great again, like how it was when we were kids, how we used to, you can walk down the street and not be afraid. I mean, when I was a teenager, we was getting jumped. You walk through the wrong neighborhood. But if you want to see America look like the way it did when our grandparents was living, hit the like button. I appreciate that. Tiger Woods is a great golf player, but he is not 100% black. I'm grateful for that. Ouch. What does 100% black mean? Nobody's 100% black. I mean, you could be 100% African, but I don't know what 100% black means. Plus, blanket tariffs hurt industries. Was either don't want or cannot have in the U.S. Let me scroll down because I'm way behind on the comments. Let me scroll down. Sorry, y'all. You should be ashamed of yourself. I'm proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself. I love myself because guess what? Jesus loves me. I'm good. You hear me? I ain't worried about nothing none of you talking about. I don't seek validation from no man on earth. I seek that validation from my Lord and Savior. So as long as I'm doing the right thing, you can kick rocks. All Dems voted for Jim Crow laws. 100%. Democrats, that's their whole little message. That's their whole thing. This is not true life. It's a loop. For the last 3 months, my burps have smelled like eggs, but I've not eaten any eggs. Should I see a doctor? Go fruitarian. You don't need to see a doctor. I was a fruitarian for like 4 years. Straight raw diet. You feel me? Saved my whole frame, man. Got my whole body together. Me and my wife. Lost all of the excess weight and everything. No, just go eat right. You'll be better. Trump 2028. No. Watching from the UK, can you please borrow President Trump for 6 months, please? What you mean borrow him? You're not very good at grifting. I don't grift. Trump would easily win a 4th time. I don't think so. Harris said nothing. She just brought in black artists to endorse her, changed her accent for every group, and called 18-year-olds stupid. She did do that. What's up, bro? Just got here. What's up, AD Jones? Hail Lilith. Jesus loves you. Yes, he does. In the 60s in the South, if you wanted to vote, I'm 72 years old. What have this, in the 60s in the South, if you wanted to vote, I'm 72 years old. What have this brother been, don't know, you can't vote if they don't want you to vote. Who told you this? And who has the authority over any American to stop you from voting? This is not how it works. They lied to y'all about this. We have a constitution. We have the Constitution. We have the United States Constitution. I guarantee you, because 95% of Americans never even read the United States Constitution. And I say that number is probably higher than 95, especially people in my age. I'm a millennial. The Constitution is not read, so y'all don't know any better. You don't, unfortunately. But if you read the U.S. Constitution, you understand that you always had the right to do everything that anybody else could do. Let's go. Need to drink water. What are you talking to somebody else? When your grandparents were around, you would be allowed to say all the things you want. You would ignore all the comics that ignored you. I don't get it. We conquered this land and it's ours now. Grifting on a Sunday. I don't know what grift means. Somebody explain to me what grifting means. That's some new word like what's that word that people start, narcissists, when narcissists start going crazy. Grifting. You got a new word from the internet, now you're using it. Okay. I bet your parents are not proud of you. 100%, Wilbur. Hey, Wilbur Howard, 100%. My parents do not like that I am who I am. But I'm a kid from the inner city of Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up in the ghetto. I grew up around the black Democrats. My church hates me. You feel me? Don't nobody like me. Most people don't like me. But I don't care though. You hear me? So that don't matter. You feel me? Because I'm not seeking validation from men. So it doesn't matter if people like me. I could care less if people like me. All right. Can you be a Republican and reject the Bible? Yeah, 100%. There's Republicans that reject the Bible. Not me. I'm not a Republican. I wouldn't call myself a Republican, but I'm definitely on the right. Got me some line and credit since Trump been in there. Hey, You said no laws existed to stop black people from voting, but there were poll taxes and literacy tests. Oh my God. And grandfather clauses that gave you the right to vote if you've been in the Civil War. Let me debunk all of that. Since when, since when does poll taxes and literacy tests stop blacks from voting? Pancakes. This is what people are saying right here. You're calling black people too dumb and too broke to vote. Because a literacy test, you couldn't vote? Are you serious? No, you just had to learn how to read, which black people knew how to do in the 60s. What they was fighting to stop. It was fighting to lower the standards because they wanted the goofies to vote. They wanted the dummies to vote. That's what happened. So for you to sit up here and talk about, they was poll taxes and literacy tests, they were trying to stop the monkeys from voting. That's what you're saying. You're saying that the black people were too stupid and too broke. We were not too stupid and too broke. I went over this 2 days ago where I explained how excellent we were and how we were dominating in all industries. We had land. We had our families. We were married. We had our children. We were literate. So stop with this whole, they was stopping black people from voting because they were trying to make the black people read. Goofball, we knew how to read. You see how people judge you because of the hat? Snowflakes. Man, I swear. Do you feel like Sambo or Steven from Django? Let me see. I like Steven from Django. Let me see. Nah, of course not. Django, the dude Steven from Django was Samuel L. Jackson. No, I can't be him because he was, who was that nigga on that nag? He was like, what the heck? A black person that's not in chains? I can't be that because I know the history. Black men weren't in chains. It's people pretend 100% of black people that was in America were in chains. They weren't. I just explained to you in 1641, Matthias de Sousa was a free man in America that held a political office. So in the 1600s, black people not only were voting, they were holding political offices. Yes, were there a lot of Africans, a lot of people, a lot of black people that were slaves? 100%. But not 100% of blacks were slaves. So go read a book and figure out that blacks weren't just slaves. You might learn something. Which black people couldn't participate in the Civil War in most cases? Not sure. I don't know what you mean couldn't participate. I think everybody was, I would think everybody was, but probably not the, maybe certain slaves weren't. I don't know. You're not doing this for free. I'm not doing what for free? I'm not getting anything from this. I'm getting some subscribers and some likes. I want to spread the message more often, but yeah, of course I'm not doing this for free. I'm paying this damn light bill to keep this on. God is smiling on you right now. God is smiling on you right now. Godspeed. Appreciate you, Dusty. Jim Crow laws, brother. Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow didn't stop black people from prospering. Like I said, we dominated under the Jim Crow laws in the Deep South. Stop playing with us. And if black people are such in this better position today, explain how when we own millions of acres of land back then, and we don't own anything now. It was 1 million black farmers back in the Jim Crow law days, and now it's only less than 20,000. Stop chatting. All y'all doing is talking because y'all don't know the history. You don't even understand the U.S. Constitution. So don't sit in here talking about black people, they got the right to vote. It's cap. Democrats keep you from voting. They do. They'll push things that'll keep you from voting. Was Jesus black or white? Jesus wasn't a color. Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus was God. You hear me? You need to debate Dean Withers. I heard of that name before. Millennial here. I took a course on the Constitution. You should too. I definitely love to take a course on that. Jesus was tan. Jack, that's true, but mostly in the North. Jim Crow wasn't around. Yeah, Jim Crow didn't exist in the North. How do you feel about black rap culture? It's disgusting garbage. Let me scroll down. Damn, y'all flooding this John. All right, the Constitution says every person gets due process. William Sherman instituted 14 acres and a mule. Wish you had a future call feature because all your arguments didn't happen and didn't cite specific exceptions. Name me an argument and I will update you on how I feel about it or the history upon it. And of course, I don't know everything, but I do know what I'm talking about right now. And I understand and do know, you can look it up now. All I'm saying now is that black Americans always had the right to vote. And I have, there's evidence behind this. I have the names. I have the names. They're right here in front of me. I have the names right here. I'm not gonna sit up here and fake and lie. I just told you about Matthias de Sosa. You can look up who Wentworth Cheswell is in New Hampshire in 1768. You can look up John Mercer Langston in Ohio, 1855. These are people that it's not voting. This is people that was actually held political offices. These were elected officials, black men. So stop with this. Oh, where's your proof? Look up Paul Cuff. Look up Joseph Rainey. Look up Robert Smalls. Look up Pinckney Pinchback. And then tell me if my information is wrong. I know it isn't. Y'all just jaw-jacking. When was America ever great for our people? When we were holding political offices and making changes. You ever heard of Booker T. Washington? You ever heard of Frederick Douglass? A person that went from a slave to an active voter? Like, come on, America's always been great. We're losing our way because we're losing our Christian values. Because we got goofballs like I ain't gonna say all of the Democrats, but the Democrats have gone so far left, they're taking away from our godly nature and our godly traditions. All right, no one says no black people could vote, just that proportionally it's extremely small. And who's accountable for that? And it's like, oh, well, the white man controlling everything. The white man was stopping us from doing this and doing that. No, that's cap. You see, unless you learn about accountability, unless you know what accountability is and what it means, nobody can hold you back from doing anything. It is you versus you in this life. So cut it out with the whole, well, the white man was stopping. That's cap. So let me get this right. All you are calling this man out for wearing a piece of clothing as if somehow taking his hat off would change his opinion. Calm down, take it easy. No, Jesus is a story. No, Jesus is not a story. Yes, it makes sense. They've basically always been less than 10% of our population. We fought wars for them, 100%. Nobody acknowledges the 300,000 white men that died during the Civil War. Like that's not a thing. Like what did they gain out of this? Like, you feel me? Like what did those men that left their families, those white men that left their families, like to go fight in the Civil War, for what? What did they gain? Like, but they was doing what was right. That's why I have a lot of respect for my European ancestry. I'm not just how do you points point compound. MAGA win is no tax on overtime. No man, on my mama, for real. That's why, like, I'm looking at Trump like, nigga, what's on, bro? What's up with the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime? When that coming through? But it's only May. We're gonna spring right now. But come on, man, you got some time. You gotta lock in. All right, 400 years, and you named 5 examples. 5 examples of what? 400 years of what? 400 years of slavery? Man, y'all, this is why y'all stuck. Y'all trapped, man. Y'all resentful. That's why y'all need God. You need the Lord. The Lord will save you. This is why a lot of slaves could go through their days. This is why a lot of slaves could move on to the next day. It's because they had their Bibles, which we are grateful for, and they will lie and say, oh, the white man forced him, gave you a Bible. The white man put a Bible on you and taught you that slavery was okay. Dude, the Bible is the best thing any man could give any man. So if you was to give a man a Bible, if you was to give a slave a Bible, I have nothing but love and respect for you, because this thing saves people, because people are so of this world. People love this world so much and the worldly possessions that they don't focus on their spirit. Because you could be a slave as long as you know the word, as long as you understand the gospel and you're a follower of Christ, you're good 100%. But unless you're one of God's children, you'll never understand what I'm saying when I say that. If you don't like America, leave, skedaddle. Supporting poll taxes is crazy work. Literally suppressing the right of the poor to vote. Pancakes. Stop, dude. Look up how much poll taxes cost. I don't care if it was $20, bro. It's $20. Poll taxes didn't cost that much. It was like $2 to $5. If you didn't want to pay $2 to $5 to vote, bro, that was completely on you. But that don't mean you was too poor. That means you just didn't want to do it. What are you talking about? Stop it, bro. Most people in this chat slept in history class, but you're doing good trying. Appreciate it. Jesus is documented as real by the Romans. Yeah, Jesus was 100% real. Let me scroll all the way down. My bad, y'all. Happy Sunday, man. Did y'all go to church this morning? You've been whitewashed. Who? Not me. If you only knew who I was before, I'm a white person. I like him. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate you, Miss Cheryl. This is they look at me. People look at me like I'm fascinated with white people. But one thing I do know for 100%, this is facts, and this ain't always been true. Black Americans used to have polish, used to have class, but they fell away from God, and now they're barbaric at a large rate. Not all black people. Like, I'm a descendant of a slave also, but I'm not as barbaric as a lot of y'all. Like, it's crazy how a lot of Black Americans got this barbaric culture now. It's sick. But one thing I do and I see clear as day is that some way, somehow, the Caucasians are a little less violent, a lot less violent, a lot less barbaric. Like, I'm speaking facts. I know y'all like to lie and try to, they do the school shootings. Y'all point out 100 cases and be like, the white people, they mass murderers, they demons, and ignore Chicago, ignore Detroit, ignore LA. I'm not stupid. I can see clear as day. And yes, the Caucasians, they act way more classy than the blacks. That's not a lie, not a myth. I'm not pretending. I'm seeing it for what it is. I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping at all. No, I'm not married to a white woman. My wife is a black woman. I have black children. I have a black family. I love my people, right? And I'm not saying my people as black people. I'm saying I love my culture. I love where I come from. I love all of those people. I love everybody. But I'm not going to sit up here and fake like black people ain't barbaric as hell. Like, it's 100% true. Rap culture has indoctrinated the crap out of y'all. Y'all like Tupac Shakur. Like, a lot of black men like Tupac Shakur. That's sick, bruh. That's really sick. Oh, he made Brenda had a baby. He made keep your head up and ignore all of the other garbage he made. This is how we know that y'all fried. Like, we know that for real. We can see. I'm not dumb. Let's go. Yeah, stop telling this man facts. He believes in opinions, only getting brainwashed. Whatever. Just interested to hear someone so utterly opposite of me. Man, it's cool. It's cool, man. I like that too. I like hearing from people that just like total opposite of me. Mustang Mike, Warhouse just sub. You are a good man. Appreciate you, Mustang Mike. God bless you and your family. You've been contaminated. No, I've been saved. I've been saved. Y'all would have liked me before. And that's fine with me. Y'all would have liked who I was before, but I was a fool before. You hear me? I was a fool calling black people barbaric. Wow. Please be butthurt, because I want you to check yourself. You feel me? I want you to check and see why I'm saying this. I'm not saying this for no reason. You only hurt by something that could be true. You could call me barbaric. I wouldn't bat an eye, because I know I'm not. I know I'm not. I sin sometimes. Yes, I do. Of course. I fight every day to be a sinless man, but I know it's impossible, but I try my best every day. And once I realize how sinful I am, you feel me? I can spot the sins in other people, especially in other cultures. And black people are, at a large rate, very sinful and proud of it. I was just at a prom lineup the other day. I seen like 10 dudes dressing like women. 10 boys, kids. I went to a basketball game. This is black schools. I went to a basketball game. It's little boys dressing in dresses on the cheerleading team. I don't see this with anybody. I don't see this with any other cultures. So when I say it's barbaric, this is what I'm speaking of. And don't act like I'm faking, like I'm lying about this. I'm not. I see this. I live amongst it. I'm amongst the city now. I live in the city right now. I live around blacks right now. I'm not tripping. I know the truth. You can't tell me I'm tweaking. I know what's going on, and I'm not gonna lie about it. If black people are like crabs in a barrel, the question is, who put them in a barrel? Victim, victim, victim. That's another problem. I'm a victim. They did this to us. Y'all do not understand accountability at all. This is blacks' problems, bruh. It's embarrassing because I have to be associated with you Negroes that have this mindset. You playing a character. No, I'm not. This is who I am. This is 100% who I am. You feel me? I don't have to fake for nobody or anything. I really don't. I get nothing out of faking for anybody. This is my opinions and this is how I speak to my brothers, my cousins, my friends, my family, my parents. You faking for this live. No, I'm not. I can't, bruh. Jesus is the story. Only one name under heaven. 100%. He's not a racist. He's a truther. Thank you, Daryl. Only the honest, true people will understand what I'm saying. I'm not here for the fakers. I'm not here for the haters. I'm here for the truthers. I'm here for the people that's gonna stand on the truth. That's why it's called the House of War. I named this pod the House of War because we're at spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare. The war is within. And y'all so busy focused on what's going on outside of you that you're confused on what I'm saying. But until you tap into the Holy Spirit, you might not ever understand what I'm saying. It's called facts, not racism, you yellow bellies. The no tax on tips and no tax on overtime is in the big, beautiful bill that's on the table right now. It had to get passed. Oh, okay. Thank you, Brianna McCobu, my wife. Awesome. Look, she on here dropping some information to me. How many of y'all wives is saucing y'all with information? You feel me? Drop a thumbs up in the chat if your wife always giving you great information and teaching you. You feel me? How many black people in Trump current cabinet? I think one. What's his name? His name's Turner. You're generalizing. If the shoe fit is what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. If the shoe fits is what I'm doing. Because although I'm a black American and although I'm a descendant of a slave, you can't call me anything that's gonna hurt me or make me feel like I'm in that bubble. I'm in a lot of black bubbles. I'm a ghetto dude from the hood. I'm in a lot of these bubbles that I'm speaking of. And I've been in the positions I've been a barbaric young black man. Yes, me. I've been expelled twice for fighting. You hear me? I've been arrested. I've been in jail. I never been sentenced or convicted, but I've been locked in a cell for abusing or assaulting people. Yes, me. My punk ass. Yeah, me. I was afraid. I had to live amongst the ghetto, among the darkest monsters in the neighborhood. I had to go through that. I had to live in the projects. You feel me? So I'm my story, my testimony is valid. I don't lie about anything that I've been through. I've been to the foster care system twice. You feel me? Like I don't have my parents never graduated from high school. You hear me? So I'm not on here faking for nothing or nobody. I'm not gonna hold back because I've seen it all. I ain't say I've seen it all. I'm not gonna say I've seen it all, but I've seen enough to understand what I was looking at. I knew you niggas was different when I was like 14 and Gucci Mane started popping. And everybody was fascinated with him. This is when I realized something was wrong. And I never fell for it. So don't come over here talking about, you in here cooning or you here generalizing. No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I just appreciate you, Larry Lee. Let me scroll down, my bad. I was on here, I was babbling for a second. I would agree with you with some of your bravado, but you're on an absolute path to not open-minded pathology. No, my mind is very open. This is how I got here. And now my mind is still open. My books are still open. Although I have Jesus, although I know the word, I still need, there's still information that I need to know. I just got hip to design. I just got hip to Zionism. I didn't know that the Orthodox Jews or whatever, these so-called Jews, I didn't know they had a book called the Talmud that called Jesus, that said Jesus was burned in a lake of fire and called Mary a whore. I didn't know that. Kneeling for mouth to Trump. Yeah, Trump is my mouth. Shut up, Donnie. Oh my God, what is your level of education? Bruh, that's not, bruh, I wish I didn't go to school. I'd probably be smarter. I had to go to public school. My level of education, I don't care if you're a doctor. I know people with doctorates that are idiots. So the education doesn't make a man smarter. They actually make you a lot dumber. Let Malcolm X come back to life and see the black community today. He warned against white liberals. He gave a whole speech. Yeah, Malcolm X was the truth, but he still was living in hate. And Malcolm X, although he was, I like that he preached black independence. He still had a resentment to people, and this is one thing that hurts us in the long run because our hearts must be protected. And if you're, you know, if you got this issue with white people, it's only hurting you because at the end of the day, you got to keep your heart light. I love you and thank you for your vote to make America great again. I appreciate you, Parker. I love everyone, no matter what color, creed you are. Me too, Cheryl. Me too. Who is this uppity ninja girl? And this is a Hispanic person saying that to me. Why did you don't call me a nigga? Stop it, lame. Why are you so proud of being born in the ghetto? Who said I was proud of being born in the ghetto? I'm not proud of being born in the ghetto. I'm from the ghetto, but I'm proud of who I am. So you a criminal? No, I'm not a criminal. Too young. It's blacks' problems. Sound so ridiculous. Wish you could have your ancestors too answer your awkward thoughts. First of all, your ancestors only go back 500 years. This is how silly y'all get. Your ancestors only go back like 500 years. I acknowledge, this earth been here 6,000 years. I go all the way back to Adam. I go back to Abraham. You feel me? Y'all point out the recent history. Y'all point out the American history. You don't even know what was going on in Africa. So you don't even know what was going on in Europe. Y'all history is very short. So you can be confused easily by these books and what they teach y'all. My ancestors. Black people got this issue with only pointing out part of their ancestry and saying this who I am and ignoring their European ancestry. Like we all don't have European ancestry. It's kind of fried. Let's go. I'm aware of that, but if you guys hate my president so much, get citizenship over there. No, Malcolm X didn't because he changed his stance on Caucasian and believed them to be his brothers. When he went to the Mecca, now I honestly I can see why you said that. And what I'm gonna do, because I don't know 100% what his stance was on Caucasians when he did come back from the Mecca. But I'll look into that because I mean last time I checked, I thought he was still like on that. But I'll look into it. I'm 22, 88 years old. So I'm gonna fall back and listen to you, young man. You still need to learn. Man, we all need to learn. But teach me something. You feel me? Are you doing this for clout? Kim Jong-un? No, I'm not. I wasn't talking to you about ghetto. I was talking about the kid that was talking about being more in the ghetto. Someone in the chat. Oh, okay, my bad, Angel. Proof with education. Prove that with education you are dumber. What? I'm not saying getting an education makes you dumber. I'm saying when you go to high school and then you go to college and then you get into these universities, you ignore a lot of real life things. People that graduate college with masters, bachelors, or whatever. I know too many people with degrees that don't have common sense. Common sense makes you smart. And common sense comes from having a connection with God too. So yeah, although a person can have a degree, it can graduate and went to college, if he understands the Lord, yeah, he'll pick up common sense. But if you have no idea what the divine law is, or you don't follow the divine law at all, or you just don't have a connection to Christ, yeah, you're you will fall under that category of people that lack common sense. 100%. This world is very simple, and we overcomplicate it to the point that we become dumb. So yeah, college can overcomplicate you in your thinking processes and have you thinking some stuff like, oh, and you ask a person that went to college, what's a woman, and they couldn't answer you. Like they answer, like they people, you really ask the first person you know with a master's degree, what is a woman, and they have most likely fumbled the ball if they went to Harvard. We need to unite and stop this hate. Come on, we need to do better as a country. I appreciate that, Cheryl. Yes, we do. Jesus is not from Europe. No, he isn't. They didn't sell citizenship over there. Holy crap. Kim ain't supposed to be making a deal with Trump right now off YouTube. Right. Jesus is from Israel. No, he isn't. Far more than 6,000 years. There were advanced civilizations here before 6,000. We still don't know why they disappeared. Nah, I'm a firm believer in the Bible. The Bible says the earth is 6,000 years old, so I'm gonna stick to that. We need to unite and get these dense people some better education. Yes, we do. Yeah, Malcolm X rejected Elijah Muhammad. Yeah, Malcolm X rejected Elijah Muhammad after Elijah Muhammad kicked him out the Nation of Islam. That's my thing with Malcolm X. Malcolm X was he was bitter. He grew bitter because he was kicked out of the nation because he said that the assassination of JFK was karma because white people have been abusing the blacks. And that's when he was like, well, that's when the chicken came to roost. And then Malcolm X, he said the chicken came to roost after JFK was assassinated. After Elijah Muhammad told him not to say anything, then Elijah Muhammad kicks him out of the Nation of Islam. And then he became bitter and then started trying to expose Elijah Muhammad for things that Malcolm X already knew. And that's what got him, he got kicked out of the nation, and then he got bitter, got mad, started exposing Elijah Muhammad for being a pedophile, and then, yeah, that later led to his demise eventually, but I just don't like that part. I don't like the part that Malcolm X started trying to expose Elijah Muhammad for being a pedophile after he got kicked out of the nation. You should have been, if you was standing on business, you should have called that out a long time ago, because he already knew for like a year. Education makes you dumber. Learning makes you dumber. Come on. So you get your health care from the bum on the corner, your legal advice, dental work, your education, your financial advice. No, I'm not saying that. You can be well versed in finances if you study finances. You can be well versed in legal advice if you study law. You absolutely can. What I'm saying is what common sense is what I'm speaking of. Common sense is what I think an intelligent person is. Just because you're educated in something doesn't mean you have the common sense. You can lose common sense from learning too many things because you're focusing on so many different things. That's 100% true. And I only know that because I know people with master degrees that are full-blown idiots, but they're lawyers. Common sense comes from ability to rationalize situations and your emotions. 100%. Has 22-year-old expert host talked about he thinks women shouldn't vote and needs to be at home nurturing her man. Has 20. I don't know what that comment said, but I agree with that. I really do think that women need to get paused on voting. I think women need to take a step back and go back home so we can fix these kids. I don't think I understand how bad the kids are nowadays. They're really in a bad place, and I'm praying that we get our children some help because they're not being attended to right now. And it's Americans in general, American children. Education and learning are two different things. I agree. I have no faith in God. Garrett Clark, I'm telling you now, brother, I didn't either. And I was living in a life of sin and chaos, and I had a wife and kids, and my house still wasn't a home. And until I found the Lord, everything was solved for me. I figured out my purpose. You know what I'm saying? I understood that I was just dust, and it humbled me to the point where I'm appreciative of every second of my life. So I would say, like, man, just read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Just pretend that it's real for like 10 minutes, and maybe you'll learn something. But just say it vocally, say it with your mouth. God, if you're real, expose yourself to me, and He will. I promise you. The same thing happened to me. And my pastor is also a medical doctor. Nice. And you're falling fast. Indoctrination is a very large problem in the education system today. Yes, it is. When there's people that's advocating for abortions on college campuses, you know the people aren't in the right place. Trump's ungodly believe that. All right, let me scroll down. All right, Earth is 6 billion years old. When you see your life 15 years from now, you will be embarrassed except for the Bible part. What will I be embarrassed for? And although you're on to something, that's I'm gonna give you that, Art of Mine, 559. 15 years from now, I better be embarrassed about what I'm saying now. I'm 31. So when I'm 46, I better be embarrassed about what I'm saying now. Because if I'm not, then that means I haven't grown. So I agree with you on that. Yeah, I hope so. I hope what I'm saying right now is wrong, because that means I've learned something in 15 years. But I'm a young man, you feel me? I'm still figuring it out. Do I support Israel? No, I don't. Did you say you was bothered by Malcolm X for exposing Elijah Muhammad for being a pedophile? No, I was bothered the fact that he waited until Elijah Muhammad kicked him out to start calling him out. That's what I was bothered by. 15 years from now, your kids will see this and be proud of you. Appreciate you, Dustin. I hope it's that too. I hope my kids look at this like, man, my dad was a fighter. You hear me? Men need to stand up and be the head of the family. Women and children are blessed that this happened. That's the bottom line answer. This is my answer to America's issues today, is that the men need to step up and be stronger. As my son is crying right now. Common sense cult, maybe? I can't believe people get butthurt over a red hat. Indoctrination is real. TDS is serious. TDS is very real. If a 13-year-old girl is R-worded, should she be forced to have the baby? That's such a just disingenuous word to say forced to have a baby. No, it's not a force for her to have a baby. There's a baby coming, and she shouldn't kill the baby. That's what should happen. She shouldn't kill the baby. I don't care who did it. If he was her father that impregnated her, that baby does not deserve to die at all. But I only have this mindset because I understand the beauty of our Lord and Savior. I understand God. I understand that you can have good things come out of bad situations. God, did your getting really triggered by the hat? It's ridiculous. The same people who argue that think the guy should walk free. Yeah, nobody thinks about that part. Bro, you look like Charleston White when he was young. Me? I don't look like Charleston White, boy. That boy, I was over here. I don't look like that. But man, look, where's the last question? Where's the proof of God? Where's the proof of God? This is the proof of God right here. Me, I'm an example of a person that was a broken man that grew up in a city around broken people. I grew up in a broken family. I grew up in a self-hating family. Because black people have a lot of self-hate. Well, black people from the city have a lot of self-hate. Working class blacks have a lot of self-hate. And I'm a living example of a person that grew up with that same mindset, that grew up, hated America. I supported Colin Kaepernick. I supported Black Lives Matter. I used to march. I used to march in the streets for police murders. I used to hate the police. And this is not too long ago. This is a few years ago. We talking 4 years ago. I had this mindset of the white man was the devil. And then this is why the proof of God is real, because God exposed himself to me and showed me how beautiful my life was, and that I should be grateful for every single breath that I take. And it made me appreciative of everything I am and everything where I come from, my culture, everything about me, I embrace. I rejected everything about myself because I used to hate myself and I hated my situations when I was a liberal. But then I grew up and I got out of that mindset. And I'm not blaming me. All glory is going to the Creator. All glory is going to God. He saved me and helped me realize that my life was pretty special. And I should never take any of it for granted. So every day I wake up, I'm proud of what I have. And that I'm proud of being in this life. And this is a lot of Black Americans, descendants of slaves, working class blacks, issue is that they aren't proud of that. So when I say where's the proof is God is real, you looking at it. I'm not, there is nobody like me. This isn't a thing. Like, I ain't gonna say nobody, but who you know, nobody. I have a parent and 5 siblings. They all don't subscribe to anything I do and my behaviors and how I act and who I am. But guess what? I don't care. And how do I end up being a polar opposite of them when I grew up within it? I grew up within the culture. How did I become this? I can only give glory to the Creator. I can only give glory to God. He saved me. I'm saved. I carry this with me. I study this every single day. It saved me. This is how you know God is real, because I can smile at you calling me a jungle bunny. I can smile if you, this is another example of God being real. You slap me right now, I'm gonna give you the other cheek. Bruh, if you slapped me 5 years ago, bro, we was chunking. You feel me? We was working. We was gonna work. But no, devil can't. Hey, I'm solid as a rock. You feel me? Devil can't break. Devil can't do nothing to me. I'm tough now. I'm a man's man now. What makes a man is his ability to resist. And the world became so, y'all some suckers now. Y'all can't resist pain, torture. Jesus had to put thorns on his head and carry a big cross around for you. And y'all crying and complaining like, oh, life's so hard, man. Especially Americans. Y'all got it so made. Y'all got it so sweet. And y'all be crying with, oh my God, with y'all hand being held, bruh. It's sad, especially Black Americans. Ask a Black American where else would they live? They couldn't live nowhere else. This is the sweetest place. The best thing that ever happened to Black people or Black descendants of slaves is their ancestors being put on them boats. Because if they didn't get put on those boats, they'd be living somewhere else, complaining about their situations over there without running water in the kitchen, without running water in the bathroom, where you could take a bath in the basement. What are you talking about? And people be crying and complaining. It's sick. I stopped complaining after I saw how people live all around the world in the slums. I'm telling you, bruh, it's special. Like it's an amazing lifestyle over here in the Americas. I love being Black, except for ninjas. All right, man. I'm about to tap up over here. I gotta go. It's almost dinner time. And I'm gonna give you the last message on this, man. Men, take care of y'all families, but be at the dinner table every single night. I'm telling you, you get to govern your house from that standpoint. Did you overcome self-hate? Yes, I did. This is why I can sit here very proud of who I am. Like, I'm an American. You know who led me to this path too, who pushed me to being proud of my Americanness? Tariq Nasheed. If you ever heard of him, he's this self-hating Black dude that, like, he hates white people. He's like a race soldier. But he always said, we're Americans, we're Americans, we're Americans. I'm like, oh, we're Americans. I should be proud of being an American? I'm like, Now I'm this now. I'm ultra MAGA. You feel me? I'm ultra MAGA edition. This supposed to be on the back of my car. I'm ultra MAGA. You feel me? I love my country. I love my people. And I do not identify my brothers as people in my race. I identify my brothers as my brothers in Christ and Americans in general. I love everybody. I love all y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thanks y'all for rocking with me today, man. It's fun. I love doing this. They say I'm doing this for clout. No, I'm a talker. I'm a messenger. I love spreading the word. I love spreading the message. Jesus loves you. God loves you. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Happy Sunday. God bless y'all. Love y'all. Y'all keep tuning in. This is the House of War. Appreciate